Hello, my name is Laura and this is the third episode of my knitting podcast. If you happen to glance at what the date was when I last posted a podcast, you probably noticed it's been a minute, and that is because, as I mentioned last time, I recently got a job, and part of me getting hired was that I had to take this exam that basically covered everything I learned in college, everything. So I spent 3 months studying for that, and I passed it last month, thankfully, and now I'm here and happy to be back, and hopefully we'll be back on a more regular basis. So anyway, glad to have that behind me. But while I was studying, I did get a lot of knitting done because for some reason knitting was the one thing I would allow myself to do. I was like, this is fine, in between study breaks, I would knit a little bit, or at night when you're completely fried and just need a break, I would knit. So I have a lot to show you. So anyway, for my first finished object, you can probably tell it's what I'm wearing, and this is my Stockholm Slipover V-neck by PetiteKnit. I knit this with Sandnes Garn Tynn Silk Mohair in the color light beige and Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color camel. Now, for the pattern, first, we all know PetiteKnit. She's awesome. The pattern was super straightforward, easy to understand. It was great. I made a size medium, which was actually going up a size from my Stockholm sweater that I made before this, and it fit, but it was a little more fitted than I wanted it to be, and so I went up to a size medium on this, and it's definitely got that kind of comfortable ease to it that I was hoping for with the first one. So I think I figured out what my PetiteKnit size is, and I'm just gonna run with it for the time being. But other than that, the pattern was really great. I had a couple errors, I had to redo this shoulder after picking up stitches because I did the neck increases for the underarm instead of for the neck. So my underarm was all the way over here, and this was a straight line down. It was crazy. So I ripped that back, redid it, and then you can probably see the little thing right here. It doesn't line up. It's a knit stitch matching with a purl stitch. She even put a warning in there of warning, make sure these match. And I was like, yeah, sure, totally. And then I just got it wrong. So it's fine. My first time doing that, I learned how. It's really great. But yeah, the pattern's really nice. I've already worn this to work a couple times, which is the whole reason why I made it. And nobody has said anything about it because I don't know. So maybe I just look a little dumb wearing it, but I like it. So it's fine. I don't need validation, it's fine. But moving on, the yarn that I used. So I actually have a lot left over. I used 2 complete balls of each of these, and then it feels maybe a foot of each of these. It was more than that, but it felt absolutely nothing of the third of each. So just keep that in mind. If you plan on making this in the size that I did, you're gonna have a lot left over. And I have no idea what to do with this because what do you make out of this that's useful, Probably something. I don't know. We'll think about it. But as far as the actual knitting experience goes, this was my favorite thing that I've worked on so far because I think it was a mixture of the mohair being kind of gritty, and then also I'm knit with wooden needles, and so it was it felt like I had something in my hands, I was working on something, and it had great stitch definition. So the knitting experience was incredibly, incredibly pleasant, and my favorite one that I've had so far. But she's itchy, really itchy. I would say this is soft, but also itchy at the same time. I don't think those are exclusive things. And my sister actually, I do this thing when I'm knitting, I'm tell me if this is soft, and I'll hand it to random people. And my sister said that this texture it kind of creates feels like burlap. And when she first said that, I was like, oh my God, you're so right. I think after I've blocked it, it's kind of calmed down a little bit, and it's not quite as coarse, but it's still pretty itchy. And the only reason I'm wearing it completely on my skin right now is because I want to see if I have a reaction to it, because the couple times I've worn it, I've had a long sleeve button down under it and had no problems. It was just a little itchy if I rub my arms against it like this. But right now, no reaction, but if I think about it, I'm oh, it's touching me. It's itchy. So anyway, mohair's fine. I'll definitely knit something with mohair in the future, but I think I'm gonna try to do research on what like a softer mohair might be, because this is really soft. Or maybe all mohair just feels like this. Maybe there's nothing that can be done about it. I don't know. I just enjoyed the knitting experience so much that for that reason alone, I would definitely knit with it again, but I'll probably just pick something that I know I'm not gonna wear right next to my skin. So we'll see what that is. But anyway, like I did with my Stockholm sweater, I thought I'd share with you guys how much I spent on each of my finished objects so that you can kind of gauge for yourself like how much you might want to spend on this. Anyway, the Sandnes Garn Mohair was $13 each, and I had 3 of these. And then Sunday I bought it for $10 each, and I used 3 of these. So that brings this sweater vest to a grand total of $69 USD. And that's a lot for a sweater vest, but also not a lot for like a knitting project, I don't think. Maybe it is a lot. So I don't know. I don't really, at this point, I don't really have feelings on like how much it cost. I just like know what I want to spend every month or every other month when I need to buy new yarn to make my next project. And like, as long as it's under that threshold that I've set for myself, I'm really okay with the cost of a sweater being what it is, just so long as, you know, I enjoy the project and the actual, it's a hobby, you know, so it's like, it's my time and just the enjoyment process. I don't know, I'm trying to justify spending money on this. It's fine. But what gets me really nervous is at the end of the year when I like look at everything that I've made, I'm gonna like have kept track of how much I spent. And I'm a little scared of what that number is gonna be. So let me know if I should share that with everyone by the end, which you can probably go through and tally it up yourself, but whatever. Anyway, I love this. It's a little itchy, but overall really great. This is my favorite thing I've made so far. Like I put it on and I was like, this is it. This is awesome. So not too bad for a first finished object. Moving on. The next thing I have to show you is my sweater number 21 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. Now, this guy sat for a little minute because I basically got entirely done with the body and then started working on one of the sleeves and realized I was going to run out of yarn. So I ripped back the lower part of the body, made it shorter by like 3 inches probably, and then put it all back, finished one sleeve, got all the way to here on the second sleeve, and then ran out of yarn. So I had to buy an entirely new ball of yarn, and this is how much I have left. So that hurt a little bit, but it's okay. That's part of it. It's fine. So anyway, but onto the pattern for just a second. This is by My Favourite Things Knitwear, and also this process was really enjoyable. Like there was just something about like lace that like really kept my attention, and I was like, oh, I want to get to the next like pattern repeat or whatever. It was just a 4-row repeat, so really easy to follow. And yeah, it was really nice. The whole process just went really quickly when I wasn't running out of yarn. And yeah, I almost have nothing to say about the pattern. The only thing I will say, and this is probably more of a yarn choice, but I feel like how I picked up stitches for the neck and like how I had to tie that down is like a little bit much, because like the whole sweater is so like open and airy and like there's not a lot going on, but then like at the neck you're like, I'm a little bit being choked because there's a lot going on up here compared to the rest of the sweater. But I think with time that'll kind of stretch out and relax a little bit, and then I'll be completely fine. But on the yarn, the 2 yarns that I used for this are Isager. I've decided I'm going to pronounce it Isager because I've heard like 4 people say it that way now on like other knitting podcasts that I've listened to. So if I'm wrong, correct me. But for now, it's Isager Eco Soft in the color E8S, and which is alpaca and cotton. It's like almost 50-50. And then I used Queensland Collection United, which is mostly cotton and wool. So the yarn's really good. It was fun to knit with, really cool, really soft. This is much softer than the mohair. But I think I've decided, like I own one sweater that is like manufactured, that was like given to me by my mom. And it's got this same like kind of light, open, airy, and also boxy shape. Like I would say this sweater is pretty boxy. It's just like straight down. And after owning, like having that and then finishing this, I think I've realized that this type of light, fluffy fabric combined with the boxy shape is not it for me, as far as like what I think looks flattering on me. Granted, I still really like this sweater. I am gonna try to get as much use out of it as possible, but I think moving forward, if I see a project that looks similar to this, I'm probably gonna go for something with a little more heft to it, so it kind of pulls and drapes a little more, because this definitely like holds its shape and is just boxy. So anyway, that's it. Like I do really like this sweater, but I think for me, it was the yarn choice that ultimately I decided didn't look great on my body type. And that's not my favorite thing knitwear. It's not her fault. Like, she chose an awesome yarn. Like, it looks beautiful. It's just a personal choice. And I think that's what knitting is. It's like, as I finish a project, I learn what I like, what I don't like, and I'm able to apply that to the next one. So this one, it's okay. I still think it's beautiful. I love this. I'm really proud of it. I think it is the prettiest thing I've made so far, like hands down, the prettiest thing I've made. But I'm just afraid it won't get as much use out of it because I don't know if I like how I look in it. And that's okay. You live and you learn, you know? But anyway, moving on to my, oh, wait a second. Oh my gosh, I almost just forgot to tell you how much I paid for this. Okay, so basically okay. Can we talk about yarn shopping for just a second? So I thought that I either had Hobby Lobby as a yarn store, or that I would have to drive like 45 minutes to an hour to get to my closest like actual yarn store, and I thought those were my only two options. And so for this sweater, I was like, we're done with Hobby Lobby, I'm not using that anymore. So I drove to the actual yarn shop and like spent money on this stuff, and then when I ran out of yarn, I was like, I'm not gonna go all the way up to the yarn shop for like one ball of yarn. So I went online, and it's like really easy to get online. Like I don't know why I didn't think yarn shopping online was a thing, but it is, and it's like really easy, which makes it more dangerous. But anyway, so basically, all that to say, I used 6 balls of Eco Soft for this, 5 and like a foot of this one, it feels like, and then 3 of the And then I used 3 of the Queensland Collection United, and this was $9.50 each, $7 each, and that comes out to a grand total of $78 for this sweater. And that actually feels low. Like, for some reason I thought when I checked out at the yarn shop that it was like $90 or something, and then when I tallied it up, I was like, this doesn't make sense. But I bought this yarn like forever ago and started this forever ago. So I do have a bad memory. So that's on me. So $78, which is a little bit less than I was expecting. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, anyway, again, I'm trying not to have feelings about how much these things cost. I'm just trying to enjoy it. So there's that one. Okay, and now for my last finished object that I have to show you. This is my Oslo hat, also by PetiteKnit. I made a size small and used 2 balls of Sandnes Garn Double Sunday in the color Electric Blue. And for some reason, I didn't read the yardage requirements for the pattern. I was just like, 2 balls will be fine. It was barely enough. And that's because I like shortened this section, shortened the overall length of like what's up here, and barely had enough to like weave in an end up here. So like I was scraping by with those 2 balls of yarn. So if you make this, I recommend getting 3 balls of a DK weight, something or another, or just actually reading the yardage requirements. That would probably be helpful. But it did make this hat like a little bit cheaper. That was great. So I spent $22 total on this hat, which is pretty cute. Let me try it on for you really quick. I actually have not gotten a chance to wear this because I finished it when it was hot outside already, but I think it's pretty cute. I do think like if I make another one for myself, I would like the extra room up top, and I feel like the size small was a bit too small. Like I definitely had to block it pretty aggressively to get it to fit. but it was fine. I was basically just trying this out to give to my family as a gift, and so this was like me kind of testing out the pattern and testing out the sizing and everything. So I've kind of kept some notes and have that moving forward. But anyway, it's really cute. I really like it. The yarn is like not itchy on my forehead. I definitely think when I first put it on, it was a little bit itchy, but that's just because I'm not used to having like wool on my face. And so that's what did it for me. But just holding it, it's like completely fine and awesome and really pretty. I do love this color. I think it's really sweet. And yeah, I feel like there's like really not much to say about that. So I'm looking at my knitting notes because I like keep notes of everything. But yeah, I feel like there's not much else to say about it. But that does segue me into my first work in progress, which is another Oslo hat. So this is the actual start of my gift knitting for my family. And this one is for my brother-in-law. And basically what I did is I had everyone in my family send me their favorite color with like pictures, and this was the closest that I could find to my brother-in-law's favorite color. And so basically what happened was I thought I was just gonna have to make him one of these, but then I was doing some online yarn shopping and I found this guy, and I like this one better. Like the color is also my favorite color. And so I think I'm going to have to make one of these for myself, but at the end of this, because it's beautiful. And it's also softer. Okay, well, it's not. Well, I blocked this one. I haven't blocked this one yet. I don't know. It's about the same. They're both merino wool. But anyway, the yarn that I'm using for this one is Lang Yarns Merino 120, which is about a DK weight, and it is 100% merino wool. And I just was like reading the label like in preparation for this, and I realized it was superwash. I didn't realize that's what it was gonna be when I bought it, and like that's probably better since I'm giving this away as a gift, and so like if it gets dirty, like he can wash it. But yeah, for some reason that was a little bit of a letdown when I realized that this was superwash, because it's so beautiful. But anyway, it's gorgeous. I love this. I bought 3 to make the hat, so yeah, it's fine. But comparing the 2 colors, I think I definitely like this one better. And I might have to make one for myself. Like, it's really nice. So I love it. I love it. I'm almost about to fold for the rim there and get going on that one. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. It's a hat. It's a really nice hat pattern. If you've made it, you know, it's cool. I also just like the look of it because I know a lot of hat patterns are ribbed, and I really wanted something that was just stockinette because I think it looks kind of cleaner, especially when it comes to something that's been handmade. And my opinion on that will probably change eventually as I'm looking for a new hat pattern and I make like 12 of these and I'll be sick of it by the end of it. But for now, I think it's really pretty, and I'm excited to see I haven't gotten any yarn yet for anyone else in my family, but I'm really excited to see like what their favorite colors kind of translate to in yarn and just see how it works out. So anyway, there's that. Okay, and then I have one more work in progress, and that is my Monday sweater by PetiteKnit. So this is all I have of it so far. Well, I say this is all I have of it. I feel like this is a lot. It's really pretty. This is my first time doing a traditional raglan style sweater, because I made a sweater last year for my little sister by Well Loved Knits, Bethany on Well Loved Knits, and it just had raglan increases like on the top here instead of like the 4-point increase. It was just like 2 points. And so I kind of knew what the concept was, but this was my first time doing 4 points of increase, and I think it's really pretty so far. It has been so easy to keep track of all the pieces because there are none to keep track of. Like for this guy, you know, you do the back and then you pick up stitches for the front and then you leave that hanging and then you pick up stitches for this side and then you do that and then you combine it and then you combine it with the back, and it's like a lot of parts to it. But this is like, you knit a circle and then you make the circle bigger. Like, it's just so easy and really, really enjoyable to work on so far. But yeah, so the pattern is really great so far. I'm also knitting a size medium in this, and it actually looks really tiny when I like hold it up like this. I did not try it on to make sure it fit, before I joined for the body, because I was like, what am I gonna do? Change the pattern? I'm not that advanced right now, so I'm just gonna trust that it all works out. But anyway, the yarn that I'm using for this is some more Isager yarn. So basically the pattern called for, I think, just yarn and mohair, like a fingering and a mohair or something. And I was already working on this whenever I bought the pattern for the Monday sweater, and just decided that the mohair was a little too itchy to do two mohair projects that close together. So I saw someone on Instagram use Alpaca 1 instead of a mohair, because this is a lace weight yarn. So this is Isager Alpaca 1 in their Eco line, which means it's undyed. It's just Chestnut Heather Undyed, and it is so soft, much softer than mohair. And I like the fabric that is working up. It's very drapey, and paired with Isager Alpaca 2, which is 50% alpaca and 50% wool. And you'll notice that even though they're both like the Chestnut Heather Undyed, the Alpaca 2 is much lighter, and I think obviously it's like the wool that's lightening it. So that was a little disappointing when I got it in the mail, because I was really wanting like a rich, dark brown, not dark brown, but like a rich brown sweater. And so this definitely lightened it a little bit. I don't know if you can see all three, but I still think it's beautiful. The fabric is really nice so far. It's definitely less itchy than the mohair, but I also wouldn't consider this like something that I would feel comfortable putting on like a baby, you know, like it's still a little bit scratchy, let's be honest. I feel like wool and everything, like for me personally, I don't think I'm ever gonna think it's soft or not a little bit scratchy. I don't know, I don't want to say never. I really want to like wool, okay? I really want to, but right now I haven't gotten past merino, and this is awesome, but it's got half alpaca, so it's really soft. I don't know. I'm gonna like wool one day. I'm gonna love wool, and it's gonna be so soft. So the yarn is really awesome, but one thing that I read when I was doing research on alpaca is that it doesn't have good stitch definition. And when I first read that, I was like, this means nothing. Like, I don't know what this means. Okay. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But then I started knitting with it, and I completely understand what that means now, because when I was working on this guy, like the mohair gave it such like kind of almost a grittiness to it, but you could really tell where each stitch was. And with this, it's like they all kind of want to stick together, and then also texturally, it's hard to tell the difference between each stitch. And so it's like it kind of clings to itself just a little bit, and it's all very like, it just wants to be the same thing, you know? So like, anyway, it's just, the knitting experience is not quite as good as the mohair. And so I feel like one way to balance that out would be to do like Alpaca 1 and then like something that's completely wool, or like completely a different fabric if like I don't want to use mohair but I need something lace weight. And so like maybe the completely wool or something else would balance out the no stitch definition of the alpaca. I don't know. I'm learning. It's really cool. I like the fabric that it's knitting up, but the process is not quite as nice, but it's okay. I think this one's definitely a product knit as opposed to a process knit, because I do look forward to picking this up, but that's just because it's like so mindless and just something to keep my hands busy, like just going round and round and stockinette. But it is really nice. And let's see, I might have told you, but I'm knitting a size medium in this one. And yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully by the next podcast, I'll have a finished Monday sweater to show y'all. But then I do have one acquisition to show you guys. So I bought this yarn actually like 3 months ago, and just like didn't have the time to start on it because, oh my gosh, let me just go ahead and say, so like I do like being a like mostly monogamous knitter, and then like having a little hat project on the side or whatever is like a good way to break it up. But at one point I had this open, my sweater number 21 was open, my Oslo hat I was working on at the same time, and then I finished my Oslo hat, so I still had these 2 main sweaters going. And then this yarn came in the mail, and I was like, well, I have to cast it on immediately. So I cast it on immediately. And so like having 3 sweaters going at the same time was a lot for me. And so that's why I didn't start anything with the new yarn that I got. So finished these 2, got that out of the way. So now I legitimately only have 2 things I'm working on, and I hope to get the Oslo hat done soon. So I can just have 1 thing I'm working on, or 2, because I want to start this thing right now. But anyway, let me show you the yarn. So I went to my local yarn store. I made the drive because I really want to do sock knitting. I want to try sock knitting because everyone's into socks right now, or at least that's what YouTube is telling me, because those are like the only videos that it suggests to me. And I looked online at different sock yarns, and like, you know, they're okay. Like what's this called? Like a big box. No, what is this called? Like a manufactured yarn. Like, it's pretty, but they basically only have like solid colors, and I'm like, I more or less know what a solid color looks like, and I think socks, I want to be my opportunity to try really funky, crazy yarns that I wouldn't wear in a sweater or in anything else. So I was looking online for sock yarn, and it's all really expensive, and so I was like, okay, well, let me just go to my local yarn store, see if it's cheaper. It's not. It's the same price or more expensive. So I bit the bullet, and your girl's gonna make a $30 pair of socks out of this. And it's beautiful. This is from a brand called Twisted Ambitions Yarn, hand-dyed with Wicked Sweet style. And I don't know if this is like a well-known indie dyer or if this is something that's just local to my area, but the color's called Ocean, and I basically just went into the yarn store, and there's like one corner that's completely sock yarn, and so I went over there and let my inner child select the most colorful yarn that I could find, and this was what I ended up with, and I think it is so beautiful, and I am so excited. And for some reason, this is all I've been thinking about for the past 2 days, and I think it's because I've like finished up a couple of other projects, and so I really want to like wind this up. I don't have a Swift and like a way to wind this up, so I will be winding this up by hand, but I think I'm going to do that today and get started on knitting it today. I got some needles for it. I didn't have sock needles. These are 2.25 millimeter to do magic loop. And I'm excited. Like, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm so excited. This is great. This is 75% merino and 25% nylon, which is like your basic sock yarn. Knitting. But anyway, and I am super duper excited about this. Yeah, not much else to say. I think I'm just gonna follow the vanilla sock pattern by like the Crazy Sock Lady, like her YouTube video tutorial, because I don't know, I think with such a colorful yarn and with it being my first time knitting socks, I think something just very straightforward would be the best place to start. I am really looking forward to winding this up and casting on my first pair of socks probably today. I'll probably start the socks today, and it's gonna be great. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day.